Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another Montero video. In this video, I'm going to talk about another mathematical proof which defeats people's thoughts. For a long time, everybody learned that 2 plus 2 equals 4. And because of that, so does your calculator say the same thing. However, I just discovered something. That is actually wrong. There's some mechanism in the number which is affecting this. And it's making the answer not exact to normal addition. With many numbers, it's as simple. You can just add this up. 1 plus 1 is 2. 3 plus 3 is 6. However, something in 2 plus 2, it is not equal to 4. It's actually equal to 6. And let's get into the deep meaning why that's the case. So now the first thing one must keep in mind. For example, let's start with the number 6. 6 is the solution. 6 squared is simply 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. So 6 times. And 2 squared, so I'm just using 6 and 2 because that's given in the sum. 2 squared equals 2 plus 2. So while 2 squared is 2 times, 6 squared is 6 times. Let's use one more number. 4 squared, 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. So that is 4 times. So just depending on the number squared, you just add it up the same amount of times as given, and that's how you get it. So now how do we form a general rule for this? Well, the solution is we use x. So since x is an unknown number, it can be any number ever. So x squared equals x plus x plus x plus x, and so on. It'll never stop. Pretty much infinity, kind of like that, but you know the x will never stop adding until you get a definite solution. So this is what we have so far. However, how do we narrow this down? How do we get a solution to this? So what we're going to do now to justify this proof is we're going to find the derivative of both sides. So both sides derivative. That's the simple name for it. So what you're going to do is you're going to differentiate both sides. So for example, x squared equals the coefficient multiplied by the power, and of course the power subtracts by 1. So 2x. So 2x equals, so pretty much 1x. X is just 1x, so 1 times 1. So it's equal to 1. So just 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, and so on. Now how many times is 1 going to repeat? Therefore, we can say 2x equals x times, which means 2x means the 1 will repeat x number of times. Therefore, let's solve this very quickly. Therefore, x will equal to, let's solve for 2, okay? So 2 equals x divided by x. And of course, anything divided by the same variable is equal to 1. Therefore, 2 equals 1. Now, okay, let's get back to 2 plus 2. So we said that 2 plus 2 equals 6, right? And now we know something. 2 is actually equal to 1. So in the first expression, we must narrow this down. So 1 plus 2 equals 6. And because 2 equals 1, the 1 becomes 2. So therefore, 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. And that's how we get 2 plus 2 equals 6. Just by changing the expression and manipulating things, we found the solution to this problem. Okay guys, now that I covered the first proof of this, now I'm going to cover the second proof. This is like the second way you can prove 2 plus 2 equals 6. Uncomfortable with calculus or you've not studied it yet, this method may be useful. It's actually a lot easier and a lot more obvious and a lot more straightforward, which makes this an advantage. So if you ever have to prove this, if anyone ever has to ask you, you can decide which method to use, out of this or the second. Anyway, so for this method, it's a lot simpler. You just have to use kind of common sense, just basic knowledge. You don't need any complex math knowledge. So first things first, one must keep in mind. 1 equals 1, of course, they're the same number. And mathematically, sometimes you might have to split them up into completely unfamiliar numbers to get, you want to get deep inside. So you're going to have to choose numbers which can give you a square number as a result. So you're going to have to split this up so that when you add later, you get a square number. So 1 equals 61 minus 60. So 61 minus 60 equals 1. And if 1 equals 1, you need to do the same with a second set of numbers. So here, 61 minus 60 equals 41 minus 40. They're both equal 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to split them up even further. Remember, we have to split them up to square numbers to get the answer to 61. That's why you have to choose the right number. It's quite difficult, but it's a little bit more obvious, to figure out. Anyway, 61 equals 36 plus 25. And we combine this with minus 60. And this is equal to, so 41. So 61 is 36 plus 25. 41 is 16 plus 25. And we combine this to minus 40. And what's the pattern you've noticed as I mentioned before? These two numbers are square numbers. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the square root of them. So 6 squared plus 5 squared minus 60 equals 4 squared plus 5 squared minus 40. So we're simplifying this. And simplifying only is what gets you the solution. You may have noticed that when you've done math yourself. So 6 squared plus 5 squared minus 2. And minus 60 is minus 2 times 30. So we're going to put this in brackets as 6 times 5. And this is equal to 4 squared plus 5 squared. And minus 40 is minus 2 times 20. So we can write it as minus 2 in brackets 4 times 5. Let's just rewrite this in a little bit of a less messy way. So 6 squared minus 2, 6 times 5 plus 5 squared equals 4 squared minus 2, 4 times 5 plus 5 squared. So anyway, this should be a little tidier way to express all of this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this above equation and combine it. So a minus b squared. So we're going to kind of move them in aside. So what we're going to do, so once you do that, once you express and manipulate all the variables in the formula, the equation, what you're going to do is you're going to express them in form of brackets. So 6 minus 5 squared. So we're just using the values which we wrote down. 6 minus 5 squared equals 4 minus 5 squared. So I'm just going to show you what I did so far so you understand it briefly. And because the squared is common, whatever is common in both sides, you must cancel out. What we're going to do is we're going to cancel out the squares. We don't need the squares anymore. So what happens is 6 minus 5 equals 4 minus 5. Therefore, if we add 5 up on both sides, so add 5, this becomes 0. So 6 equals 4. And at the same time, 6 equals 2 plus 2. If we either square root that or divide that, yeah. But there you have it. This is the second proof that 2 plus 2 equals 6. It might be slightly more complicated in some way for some people, but honestly it does depend. This is just something which you must play around with and you'll come to a definite solution for. But guys, there you have it. Now I've finally discovered a proof which many people didn't know, and I'm sure many people who learned math might have not realized this too. And if you think that, oh, the calculator says that 2 plus 2, let's see. Calculator says 2 plus 2 is 4. Well, the calculator is still out of date and it's not taken in, and it's not up to date with the new mathematical standards which prove this. But there you go, guys. I'm sorry if this video is too long, but I finally proved this. But guys, if this helped, please give a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.